Donny.
Hey, how are you?
Thanks for having me on, dude.
Well, no, you're having me
Well, I know,
on
but
now.
thanks for inviting me to your studio, and we're obviously using all your shit, so.
No problem.
Thank you. Yeah, it was really fun.
Yeah, no, this is fun. I haven't been a guest on a podcast in a while.
Really?
I don't know if that's true, but I don't know. There are a lot of podcasts that are filmed here.
Yeah.
But no, this is I'm excited to be on another travel podcast for sure.
Yeah, I feel like travelers just have like a bunch of stories, so I'm excited to get into it. I won't take too much of your time, but I did have some questions I wanted to ask you.
Okay, shoot.
You're kind of like one of the goated, kind of like deep cut, like travel vloggers. I feel like one of the first guys I started to watch, especially like with the comedic sense that you have. I feel like a lot of travel guys just do it and they're like, oh, how much is the pad thai? Oh, it's very delicious. Thank you. Like you actually had, it felt like something to say, like something to contribute.
Yeah. And my first year of making vids, I was even just like playing a straight up character in my vids almost. Like I had this made up backstory that I blacked out at Logan Airport and woke up in China. So my videos were just trying to capture like what it'd be like if a random masshole just woke up in China. So I was definitely playing up the character a bit. I had a much stronger Boston accent. If you go back and watch my like early videos on the old Donny Does page.
Was that for the bit or was that like organic?
I mean, I guess I might have a little bit of a Boston accent, but that was just playing up the bit of just because like you meet a lot of massholes that like have never left Massachusetts and don't really want to leave Massachusetts.
Yeah.
So I was like one of those dudes just randomly ending up in China would be hilarious. And then when I like, that's when I was only making, you know, like a few vids a month. But when it became like my full-time job, I was like, okay, I'm not going to be like playing a character every day in the office. And so I slowly just kind of like lost the accent, started just being myself in videos, and no one really seemed to notice that much or care.
Yeah, because I feel like Donny Does felt more like kind of like sketch comedy in a way.
Yeah,
like, I want to pretend to be Roger Federer. For
yes, exactly.
Who did you look to like? Because it felt like, I mean, I wasn't even on YouTube then. I don't even know what the landscape looked like. It feels like you were kind of pioneering the style in some ways. Like, who did you look to make that stuff?
In terms of travel guys, there wasn't a lot that I was watching. Even now, I'll try not to consume tons of travel content because I'm just like worried that I might subconsciously copy it or something.
Yeah, absolutely.
There was that guy who had the show Idiot Abroad, Carl Plinkington.
Ricky Gervais.
Yeah, it was Ricky Gervais's friend, Carl Plinkington or Plinkington. I don't know how to pronounce it. That was a hilarious show. And I almost wish I had watched that more because he had one video in China where he went to this theme park where they only hire little people.
I've seen this. Yeah.
And it's just like, I think it's just a village where all little people live. I don't know how that came to be. If they were like forced to live in the same town, that'd be weird. But he went there and I saw that like after I'd already left China and I was like, oh damn, I probably should have filmed a video there.
Those old Idiot Abroad videos are classic. I feel like that, it's funny you say that because that's an inspiration for me as well. Like, because I mean, honestly, like, you know, even if you watch a travel channel where they're pretending to be an expert, they're just pretending. Like, no one really knows what the fuck is going on. Unless you're like an expert and you've done a deep dive, like, it feels very performative to me to like go to a place and like just recite a bunch of facts that you just read yesterday on Wikipedia, you know?
Yeah. No, I would say the only place that I could actually act like an expert is in China just because I lived there for so long. But all the other travel videos I do, I don't know anything. I just kind of like know the main talking points that like most people recite about those spots.
Yeah. I feel like that's like enough to get there and then you can like see boots on the ground. Because I mean, I feel like I learned way faster actually being there as opposed to like, because I mean, in geography class, I never gave a about geography. I didn't care about like world history, but then going to China and seeing the Silk Road or you know, whatever it is, like it's way more interesting to see it in person. Yeah,
like I didn't mind my history and geography classes, but I wasn't super into it. Now I'm like really into history and just for fun, I read history books. Like I'll look at maps for fun, but that happened like long after school. Like I didn't have that passion when I was in school.
Yeah.
And then also with YouTube, I had friends in college that started doing a weekly YouTube series maybe like a year before I started making videos called Time Flies Tuesday, where they would just make a new song every Tuesday from scratch, and like that went well. So at least I had friends that had success on YouTube. So that inspired me. Oh, maybe I could because I lived in China for a full year before I started to make vids, but I was like, this place is hilarious. Like, it's so absurd that if I started to film some of this, it could do well. So I kind of just followed their model of like trying to like bank, 5-6 vids and then drop them every week at the same time. So like fans would know when to watch.
Yeah. How long? So Donny Does was your first YouTube channel?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So did anyone watch the videos at first, or was it?
So I got Barstool, who I work for now, they just happened to share the first 2 YouTube vids I made. So
that's crazy.
The first vid I ever released, I was working as a kindergarten teacher in China, and I just asked them, I was like, oh, can my friend come in and like film the classes tomorrow? I was like, I need to build my teaching portfolio. And then
just lied.
Yeah, just lied. And they were like, yeah, sure. And then I was teaching the kids like, Yankees suck. Yankees suck.
I think I've seen this video actually.
We love Kevin Garnett. And
you taught it to him in a Boston accent?
Yeah, all in a Boston accent. Like, Derek Jeter sucks. I'm wicked high. And like they would all repeat after me. And
did the teachers, like, did your coworkers speak in English to where they would know what you're saying?
No, at that school, it was crazy. I was kind of like the only one who understood
That's even
English.
Funnier,
they would just like, I would walk in, they'd be like, all right, here's your class. Do whatever you want.
You could say anything then.
Yeah. I think the worst thing I said was, this is around the time that Plaxico Burress had accidentally shot himself in the locker room. So I was like, okay, everybody do the Plaxico Burress. And then I pretended to shoot myself in the leg. All the kids did that too. And Barstool was like kind of a Boston-based company at the time. So like when they saw that vid, they shared it. And then my next vid was just me going crazy at a Shanghai Sharks game where I kind of pretended like, okay, how would like a diehard Celtics fan act at a Chinese basketball game? So it was just, was getting hammered, was heckling the opposing team. And they shared that one too. So my first 2 vids did a lot better than you would expect, like maybe like 30, 40K views. So that was like, holy shit, this is taking off.
How did they share it, like on Twitter or something?
On their blog at the time.
Oh, okay. Was it like 2016 or something? Or?
No, this was like 2013.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
So you got like on the ground level at Barstool then, like when it was still...
Yes, but this
young,
was,
like...
I didn't start working for Barstool until 2017.
Okay.
So even though they shared those vids, they weren't like, we're going to hire you right now, but it just helped me get views on those first 2 vids. So I was like, oh, maybe I should like focus more time on this YouTube thing.
Yeah.
But then, went a few years with like my vids, like some of them would only get 1,000 views.
Yeah.
But as we talked about earlier, I was having a lot of fun doing it. So even though then like my next crop of vids weren't doing well, I still was having fun.
Yeah.
And then like my first vid to ever crack 100K was me pretending to be Roger Federer in China.
Yeah, so fucking funny.
And then
didn't Barstool, because I feel like the first few videos I saw of yours were on Barstool's main channel. Was that before they like signed you officially?
Oh, no. That was in 2017 when I started to work for them. At first we were just putting our vids on their blog because they had a video player on the blog. And my boss was like, they didn't want us putting them on YouTube because they're like, we get more ad revenue when we play the videos on our blog than on YouTube, which was very dumb. Like if I had just started putting those vids on YouTube right off the bat, like I would have an even larger page. Yeah. It took like 2 years to finally convince the higher ups that like, okay, YouTube is the future. All of our content needs to be on YouTube.
Wow.
And that's when I started my own YouTube page under Barstool, which is the Wonton Don, my YouTube page now.
Yeah, interesting. That's crazy because I mean, I was looking through the archives yesterday or a couple days ago, and it looked like your first channel only has like 40,000 subscribers. But they somehow noticed you, like when you had, like, how does that even work?
Yeah, they held an event. So this was when Barstool got some outside investment and they all moved to an office in New York. And at that point they were looking to expand. And I had been following Barstool. One of the big reasons I had always known about it, but I started following it even more closely when I moved to China because I moved to China, like YouTube's blocked, Gmail's blocked, Twitter's blocked.
Yeah.
But Barstool Sports was not blocked.
Based.
So I could still watch
China.
all that content. But they held a competition at one point called Barstool Idol, where they were like just trying to hire a new employee. So I auditioned for that. I showed up in the office. I pitched them. I was like, I want to be your guys' foreign correspondent. Like, I've already lived in China. I plan on moving back to China. These are the videos I can make for you. And a lot of people that were showing up for the audition were just like, I think I'm really funny. I can make some funny content. I already had a whole backlog of vids.
Amazing.
So they could already look, all right, this guy already knows how to make content. So I ended up not having to do the rest of the competition. They were like, okay, you can just have a job. You don't have to like go through and compete against all these guys.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you won the competition, or they just pulled you aside and they're like, all right, enough with the bullshit. Like, you have the job.
Yeah, they just pulled me aside and said I could have a job. And then like they still held the competition, but I didn't have to compete, which was a good thing because it was kind of like what they had you do in the competition. I don't think I would have been able to like showcase what I could actually do.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. You're like, you have to drop me in China for
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. That's crazy, man. I feel like is this mic at a good level? I feel like it's like low.
You could bring it up a little bit, but you can also bump the audio in post. I think if you loosen it and then bring it up and then
okay. Oh, there we go. Yeah.
And then if you retighten it.
Yeah, okay, that's better. Yeah, because I feel like you got on the ground floor there. Like, it seems like everybody wants to be an influencer now. Like, if you ask like kindergartners what they want to be, like 50% of them say YouTuber.
Mm-hmm.
But it seems like in 2012, 2013, like, how did you even know what that was? Dude, I didn't even get on YouTube to watch as a viewer until like 2020. So like,
yeah.
What were you, is that you just go to blogs and read and stuff, or what were you doing?
I mean, there were some, like when I was starting YouTube, there were some really successful channels. You remember those guys who did Epic Mealtime?
Yes, dude. Yes.
Yeah.
Bacon bits.
They would just make the most insane meals ever.
I remember that. They were OG YouTube.
Yeah. And they had like blown up. They were probably some of the first people like making a good living off of YouTube.
That's true.
I never like straight up like made a living off of YouTube. Like even at the point when I got hired by Barstool, that was not at a point where I could make a living off of my vids.
Okay.
But then thankfully when I got hired here, like my salary wasn't really based on the views. Like they wanted me to like, my first couple of years are like, we want you to put out 2 vids a week and stuff. But as long as I did that, I was good.
Really? So it wasn't like performance based. It was just like, just post your thing and you're good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. That's crazy.
Which has been huge now because there are like certain video series I'll spend more time on where if so like there have been times where like I've gone a couple months, haven't put out a vid. If I was just making a living off of YouTube, like I don't know if I would be able to do that. But,
so they pay you the same regardless of if you post or not type thing? Like
yeah, like I'm on salary here.
Oh yeah, okay.
So as long as they know I'm working on something,
that's
you
cool.
know, yeah.
Very progressive of them.
Yeah, and it's helpful because it's like I do have some vids that don't do as well. I mean, for how big the Barstool brand is, probably because we were late to YouTube, like we're not as big on YouTube as a lot of other brands. I mean, we're huge on social media, on TikTok and Instagram, but yeah, not all of our YouTube content does great, but
interesting.
It's definitely I like doing the longer form content.
Yeah, it's more rewarding, isn't it?
Like, how do you balance it when you go out and film? Like, because it's very hard to like film something on your camera for YouTube and then go back and like film it on your phone for short form. Do you just film a long form video and then turn that into clips?
If I were to do clips, yes, but I just completely stopped. I think clips to me aren't worth it. Like, the real money is in the long form, and it's rewarding too. Like, I feel like shorts are kind of like brain dead slop content anyway. It's just like, hey, look at this, hey, don't scroll away, please watch my video. But long form is more like sitting down and like reading a book type thing instead of just like reading a tweet or something, if that makes sense.
Yes.
So I just kind of stopped bothering myself with it. And like, even if I were to hire an editor, it's still like tedious to like spot check their work, and oh god, it's just I still have to watch a short. Like, I don't even consume shorts to begin with, so
I don't really consume shorts either. I did have like one short though is how I gained 100K subs on YouTube.
That's crazy. Which one was it?
It was a video that I filmed in Malta, and that vid itself, I don't think like barely cracked 100K. And then I just cut a short. It was like a 37-second clip of people playing a local sport there, where it's called Ghostra. It's kind of like a greasy pole, and you got to, and a greasy pole that goes out over the water, and you got to try to run to the end of it, and there's like a flag at the end, and if you make it all the way to the end and grab the flag, you win some money.
Okay.
So a very just like simple clip. I think it went viral for two reasons. One, there was like a chubby 13-year-old that was competing, and I was like, the competitors range from doughy 13-year-olds, and then all the comments are like, I can't believe you just called a 13-year-old doughy, you're such an asshole. But that gained a lot of traction, and then it was like, it spans from doughy 13-year-olds to like jacked up and tatted dudes with like lion tattoos, and the dude I was talking about actually had a tiger tattoo. Or he had a lion and I called it a tiger.
Yeah.
So then there's all these comments like, dude, that was a lion, that wasn't a tiger. And that guy wasn't even jacked. I don't know why you called him jacked.
Yeah.
But I think it's the most viral piece of YouTube content at Barstool Sports of all time. Like,
yeah, pull it up.
Yeah, I'll see how many views, and it's yeah, it has 217 million views.
Holy fuck, dude.
And I got like 150K subs just from that one short. But here's the thing, it's like the subs you gain through a short aren't necessarily going to be the subs that keep on coming back to watch your vids.
They're not loyal. They have short attention spans. They don't even know you.
Yeah.
Like if you're going to subscribe to somebody through a short, they don't fucking know you. And they think that you're some type of guy. Like I made a short in, I was in Ukraine, trying to escape like during when Putin announced like something with nukes. I can't even remember. He was just like, he made a scary announcement. I had to leave really quickly. And I passed like through a military checkpoint, and they like asked if I was Christian or not. And they're like, oh no, there's only Jews allowed here. And I posted it thinking it was interesting because it was.
Yeah.
And then I get all these crazy like right-wing nut jobs like, oh, that's the Jews. You see, like Trump told us, this was going to happen. Like,
holy shit.
So then they think that I'm some like anti-Semitic guy, like posting. I'm just a random guy having a random experience, and then they like pigeonhole you into
exactly
they don't know you at all. So
I mean, but you have had success on TikTok, right? Or at least that's where I saw your super viral TikTok from India. And I feel like a lot of people in this office have seen that just randomly pop up on their feed.
That's funny. No, dude, I was actually at the doctor the other day, and he's like, oh, I saw your India sucks video. I'm like, what? You're like a 50-year-old man.
Yeah.
Why am I on your page? But yeah, I mean, that's where I first started. I first started doing like hiking videos and stuff during 2020, and yeah, just kind of random bullshit. And that's kind of where I got the confidence to like be on camera, just through like kind of low effort, like short form stuff. And then I slowly graduated to the long form,
Especially because you film a lot of the videos yourself. Like I know some people that would be way too self-conscious to be in a public area and like holding a camera up and talking to it. They'll be like, oh, people are going to be looking at me like I'm a whack job.
I think it's better in foreign countries because they don't understand.
Yeah,
like in China, you can say whatever you want. You can say like Bush did 9/11, and then no one would know what the fuck you're saying.
Yeah. That's like I started making videos in China, and I wasn't self-conscious there because in China, if you're a foreigner, they think you're a weirdo regardless of what you're doing.
They're gonna stare no matter what.
So the fact that you're holding up a camera, it's not that weird to them. You're just
might as well
weird
just
regardless.
send it. Might as well just it gives you the confidence anyways. That's why I can't film anything in the US. Like I feel so self-conscious.
Yeah. Same here, for
I
sure.
feel like it'd be like very vanilla, like boring content. I wouldn't want to say any hot takes or anything, but
yeah, or if I'm walking around with a camera, I'm like, oh, people probably think I'm some like loser influencer or something like that. Like I'm a lot more self-conscious here.
Yeah, especially in India, because I'm sure it was really easy for you to film in India, right? Like,
yeah, there's just so much chaos going on. One thing about India, I like had planned this trip. I was asking you about it. I reached out to some other people who had been. Nobody brought up the fact that you needed a visa for India, and for some reason, the fact that they speak English there, it never crossed my mind. Like I know you need a visa to go to China. And so I learned that out the night before I was flying out. Ended up having to like just eat the cost of those flights and book new flights because they were like, I was able to get one rushed. Like normally it takes 4 days. I was able to get one in 24 hours, but that you need to show the visa when you're checking in for the flight.
So you got to the airport in Chicago and they're like, sorry, you can't get on?
Yeah, I was actually in Turkey at the time, and I knew that like they would be checking it at the gate, and they wouldn't allow you on the flight if you didn't have one. So I just had to wait a day. And
Damn. Do you ever think to just like rush process it and like show them a fake receipt and then get on the plane and hope that they figured it out by the time you landed?
Yeah, no, they were pretty strict at where you check in for your flight.
And the rush processing visa for India is fucking expensive too, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
It's just. Am I fucking it up?
I'm gonna try to get it a little bit higher.
There you go. Yeah. Beautiful.
Let's see. Yeah.
Our beautiful production assistant, Donny. Thank you.
But yeah, no, it wasn't a problem filming in India.
It's easy. People are so outgoing and
yeah. And I would say most people in India were friendly, but it's just, yeah, it is. The amount of trash you see is like very overwhelming. Like me and you have both traveled to Iraq. And yeah, I would say Iraq is a much cleaner place than India and like a much less chaotic place, even though they've been in constant warfare for the past like 30 years.
Why do you think that is? Why do you think it's different?
I have no idea. I think maybe just India has too many people. They have like,
for waste removal, it's got to be really fucking hard. Because I mean, even in the US, if that happened, I think would be a fucking disaster, you know?
But I mean, China's got a ton of people. China's a very clean country, but it's also, it's an authoritarian country. So like people aren't voting. There's not as much bureaucracy when it comes to like getting things done.
Like red tape. Yeah. It's just kind of like,
they're just like,
I say it, it gets done.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they kind of create all these jobs. Like they want to have everybody employed. So they'll just have like a street sweeper kind of like assigned to every like street in Shanghai. It feels like that just like their one job is to clean that street every day. And then, hey, at least they can say that person has a job.
Yeah. Like, look, everyone's employed. What a great country we have.
Yeah.
That's a good point. Yeah. It just felt like in India, there wasn't like any sense of like personal accountability, if that makes sense. Like I was in Varanasi. You know where that is? Like near the border?
Yeah, I know that's like the spiritual capital of India.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was there and I just was eating like whatever the fuck, some street food, and I had a Sprite with it. And I was done and I asked the shopkeeper like where the rubbish bin is, and he's like, oh, I'll take care of it. And I was like, oh, thank you. I hand it to him. He just throws it in the street. I'm like, what the fuck, dude?
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of like if you live somewhere where you see everybody else throwing things on the street, you're like, well, why shouldn't I throw it on the street?
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
That's true. And I guess, I mean, to be fair, in like, I guess whatever waste removal system they have, it's probably just going to end up on the street anyways. Like even if you put it in a bin, it's probably just going to, that bin is going to go in the bag and the bag is going to go on the sidewalk. So like, and it's going to go in the river. So might as well just throw it in the river.
Yeah. Did you ever get in the river when you were in
Absolutely
Varanasi?
not. Did you?
Okay. No, I never made it to Varanasi, but I've seen clips of people. Like there are a lot of people
I would never, bro.
In that river, right?
Get like sepsis and ringworm and all kinds of foreign fucking infections.
Like I've swam in some gross spots. Like I jumped in a canal in Chiang Mai, Thailand. There's like a canal that goes around the city. I went for like a swim in there. And then afterwards I was like, probably shouldn't have done that.
Isn't that like elephant shit and like...
Yeah.
I'm sure there's all kinds of
human
stuff
shit and stuff. But
Jesus.
And I also swam across the East River in New York from Brooklyn to Manhattan.
That's insane. Isn't it like a mile or something?
It only took me like a half hour, I think.
But still, a half hour of treading water is...
Yeah. No, and it's definitely not the cleanest river, but when it comes to the rivers in India, that's like a whole nother level.
I know, bro. Yeah. And all the people like trying to simp for India being like, oh, well, the US is dirty too. It's like, yeah, like blocks of San Francisco are dirty like that. But it's literally like millions of cubic, feet of like just trash. You know?
Yeah. I mean, Manhattan, you have a lot of trash on the street, but it's all in bags. So you'll see some big like, because there's no, Chicago seems like a much cleaner city because we have alleyways in between a lot of the buildings. So that's where they can hide all the trash.
That's smart.
New York is so densely populated. There are no alleyways. So they the trash needs to pile up on the sidewalk until the garbage man comes.
That's brilliant, actually. Yeah. I was actually waiting for a bus in, I think, Delhi going to Varanasi. It was like an overnight bus. and it's the bus I get off of in the beginning of the India Sucks video. It was like a sleeper bus, and I didn't think to film this because I was like, oh, I'm just getting on a bus. It's not interesting. But I literally waded through trash, like literally like up to my ankles, just like bottles and bottles and bottles and cans and bags, and to get to the bus. Like the bus was a literal like dump.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, you'll see that. Like, did you go to Mumbai at all, or?
No. I feel like it'd be a little overwhelming. Did you go?
Yeah, I was in Mumbai. I mean, I wouldn't say it's more overwhelming than Delhi, but probably on the same level. But I knew it was on the coast, so I was excited just to see the Indian coast, and our hotel wasn't far from the water on Google Maps. So I was like, I'm going to walk to the water. To the water, and it was like one of the most terrifying scenes. Like there was so much trash that you couldn't see, like you couldn't see the sand. You couldn't tell where like the land stopped and the water began.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's so sad. So you were gonna get in? That was your plan? Like,
no. My plan was not to go for a swim. I just wanted to see it, and it was
fucking.
I mean, they do have some actual beaches where you can see the sand. There still is like trash mixed in with the sand, but this was at a point where you couldn't even see the sand or the rocks. It was just trash, then a little bit less trash, and then water.
Damn.
Yeah, I can send you a photo of that if you're trying to throw it in the pod.
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah. I'd love to have some evidence for all the Indian simps.
Yeah. Yeah, did you? Because you went so viral for your India Sucks video, like you must have been bombarded with people from India.
Yeah, and I got featured in a lot of like Indian influencer videos, like, oh, this guy's racist, blah, 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 blah. But I was like, dude, I didn't say the same thing about Pakistan. And then that's when they bring out he's a CIA operative, he's here to spread misinformation. And people never want to accept like the simplest explanation, which is like, I went to both countries and I had a better time in Pakistan. Like,
yeah,
you know, I feel like you would have a lovely time in Pakistan. It's a very, very nice place.
Yeah. And the mountains there look beautiful too.
Yeah. I think they just got invaded by India, but
I knew some YouTubers that were like there when that all happened.
Really?
They
like
were
a few weeks
trapped.
ago?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah,
what did they say about it?
I think one of them is going to come on our pod and talk about it.
That's crazy.
Drew Binsky was one of them, but then he was with this guy like Lee Abamonte, who we've had on the pod before.
Oh wow. So is Drew Binsky coming on here to talk about it?
Lee Abamonte we were going to have on. I think Lee Abamonte was one of the youngest people to visit every country in the world.
Wow. How old was he?
Yeah, I don't know. I'd have to.
I think it's like 20, because I know an American guy just did it and he's 25. To be the youngest though, you probably wouldn't see much from every country, right? Like, probably had to speed run it.
So it says he's been to. What record does he hold? Youngest to visit every country in the world plus the North and South Poles, but it does not say what age he was when he did that.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
But do you have that? Is that like a goal of yours to visit every country? You're just going to go where
I kind of just want to stick to where I know I like.
Yeah.
Because I mean, it's not like I'm an old man, but I'm just kind of like seeing it for what it is. Like, if I don't like a region, like I met this girl in Dominica in the Caribbean. I found Dominica quite boring, and she was doing it just to go to every country. She was doing Dominica to like Trinidad, or dude, I don't even know Caribbean countries. Some island near
Trinidad and Tobago,
but it's an island. Who knows? I don't know. It's just some island in the Caribbean. It was
Martinique.
That's it.
Oh, okay, nice.
Oh, good with geography.
Yeah.
But she was going to take a boat from Dominica, and to me, like, in order to visit every country, you'd have to see a lot of stuff you don't like, and you'd have to like be persistent to stay in a region that you know is not fun. You know what I mean? Like,
no, like that guy, when we talked to him, he was like, I had to go to Chad, Africa, and he was like, it was just dust. Like that it's just dust, but like,
and they're really corrupt too, right? Like,
yeah, I think it's one of the most corrupt countries in the world, but he had to go there to check the box.
Yeah.
And then the first guy we had on our podcast went to Syria when he was on his journey to go to every country in the world, was accused of being a spy and was locked up for like 6 months.
Oh my God. American?
Yeah.
Oh my God. During Assad or?
Yeah.
Jesus.
During Assad.
It's funny, man. Sometimes your parents are right. They're like, don't go to Iraq. Don't go to this.
Yeah.
And sometimes they're spot on. You shouldn't go to those places. Like,
I mean, you went to Afghanistan, right?
No, I never been.
Oh, okay. You haven't been.
No,
yeah.
I missed that kind of YouTuber trend. It feels like everybody was going all at once. And I think that was the first DM I sent to you.
Yeah.
But that was like a couple of years ago now. And it feels like everybody's kind of going. And
yeah,
I don't know.
since the Assad regime fell, it seems like every YouTuber is going to Syria, because I think that the new government's trying to show to the world we're a lot better than Assad, we're safe, and so they're like, if you're a YouTuber, come and film.
It does look nicer, honestly. You can say things now. Like
Yeah.
Did you have trouble in China, like speaking your mind about stuff, or was it?
No, I mean, most of my videos just weren't very political. And I was not really, didn't feel the need to really talk politics. I was more, because obviously like the US government and the Chinese government have a lot of problems, but when it comes to the everyday people you meet, like they aren't super political in China just because they don't have a say in what their government does.
Yeah, that's true. They're just like, oh, it is what it is.
Yeah. And it's like, you don't want, if a foreign country like hates the current US president, you don't want to be judged for that, you know?
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you usually don't talk politics abroad?
At least in China, yeah. And it's funny, like since leaving China, I've definitely talked a lot of Chinese politics on podcasts and stuff, but I don't know if they would necessarily look that up.
Yeah, that's fair.
I was filming videos in China for a while. I never got like visited by the government to be like, who is this guy? What are you doing?
Yeah, so you never felt the need to like film in Wuhan or like
Well, yeah,
Xinjiang
I was already back in the US when that broke out. I did film a video in Wuhan. It was a slam ball video. Have you ever watched slam ball?
No.
That was like basketball that they played on trampolines. And it was on like Spike TV or maybe like TNT for a while.
Okay.
And then someone maybe broke their neck and they had to like ban the sport in the US.
Oh my God.
But then somehow the guy got funding in China to bring slam ball to China. So they had like a slam ball training facility in Wuhan, and that was the only time I've been to Wuhan.
That's
was like
fucking funny.
to film a slam ball practice.
And that's on the Wonton Don?
Yeah, so that was when I was putting the videos on the Barstool Sports YouTube page. So yeah, if you search Donny does slam ball, the videos will pop up.
That's fucking funny, dude. I feel like you occupy like a very specific niche on YouTube that like no one else is really, like you're kind of in your own lane, if that makes sense.
Yeah, like I feel like China YouTube content has definitely picked up, even though you would think like since the pandemic no one would be going, but like I think it's now I see China videos all the time.
But not just China, like kind of humorous, like fun.
Yes.
You know, like just fun travel videos.
Yeah. I never try to take myself too seriously.
Yeah, I find the videos where I take myself too seriously, like I don't enjoy editing them, and it's fucking scary too, like to push those boundaries. When you could just have a fun drinking video and, you know. That
is very true. But to be fair, I think my most successful YouTube video was the first serious vid I had ever done. And I didn't know it was going to be serious. But then once I got there, I was like, okay, I can't really be joking around with this.
Was it the mole people?
Yes, the mole people in Las Vegas. Because at first I was just like, oh, that's so cool. There's people living underground.
That's hilarious.
And then you show up and it's like they all have serious drug problems. That's why they're down there. Yeah. So, and that was when I used to always wear shades in my vids. And like there was never a vid where I had the shades off. So I'm in a tunnel below Las Vegas just wearing shades.
Like still in character, like.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I wasn't in character, but I was still so dedicated to that bit. So I could barely see down there just wearing shades.
Yeah, someone's just running at you with a knife, you don't even see him.
Yeah, that happened when we were walking out. My camera guy, there were some guys hiding in the shadows. They were there to sell drugs to the people, and he accidentally pointed a camera at them because we didn't even know they were there, and one of them reached for his gun.
Oh my God.
And then once we got out, our like guide was like, dude, that guy was like about to shoot you dudes when he saw you pointing a camera at him. And we just didn't even know it happened until after the fact.
Jesus Christ. So after you filmed that, were you like, all right, no more serious videos? That was too heavy.
No, because then it did well. So the good thing is I can do a video that's like 75% funny, but I use VOs in like a lot of my vids. So then I can use a VO to actually like
voiceovers.
Yeah, voiceovers actually teach people a little something about it.
Right, like something you learn after you leave. You like research it later. That's fair. Like connect the dots. Yeah, that's good.
But I feel like sometimes I'll throw in VOs where you don't need them. Like you really use VOs in your vids?
I did one in Myanmar, but then again, after I watched it back, I was like, I'm taking myself too seriously. Like I talked about the coup and the fucking dictatorship. And honestly, I think that video is why I can't go back to Myanmar, is because I like used headlines and like B-roll of the news, and I mean, yeah, I will use it to like add context because for that video, like if you watched it without the voiceover, it'd be like, oh, he's just on a bus. Like, why is this a big deal? But we were breaking military curfew, you know, the dictatorship and everything. Like the police are rolling up. So I feel like it needed it. But honestly, I should probably just never have posted it because I'd love to go back to Myanmar. But
yeah, maybe it will change.
Sometimes it gets you in trouble.
Did you hear about in Myanmar, they have the like ship graveyard where they have these giant ships on the beach and that's where they go and like harvest all of the
No, I know that's in
metal.
Bangladesh. I didn't know about Myanmar.
Maybe I'm thinking of the one in Bangladesh.
Okay. It's near Dhaka, I think.
Have you been to Bangladesh?
No, I think I would love to go though. I heard it's like India on steroids.
I know. Yes. So good content. I don't know if you would have a good time.
But it's Muslim, so I'm like torn because that's why Pakistan is so awesome, I think, because it's like that Muslim hospitality. I wonder if the same would exist in Bangladesh, even though it's like a higher population density, like dirtier, louder, stinkier. I don't know. I'm willing to give it a shot though.
Okay.
Honestly, would you go to Bangladesh?
Yeah, I would go for the content.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How does it work with your kid now? Like, does the wife let you kind of disappear and work, or?
Yeah, we'll have to see. I've only done like really short trips since having a kid. I think I could do. I probably wouldn't do a trip over a full week, like over 7 to 10 days max. But if I planned it out and she like knew, okay, in a few months I'm going here.
Right, you could get like the parents in town or something.
Yeah, but back before when I didn't have a kid, I could be like, oh shit, this like opportunity came up. I'm gonna like travel next week.
Yeah. Is that why you think you're podcasting more now? Like,
yeah, I needed some
kinda
outlet of content that didn't require me to travel.
Yeah, that's nice. And what's your plan with the live streaming stuff? Is that like the direction you want to go permanently, or is that just kind of like a side like curiosity?
No, I think it's a great resource to have. I think if I do more trips, like I'll film vlogs and then try to do some live streams just so you can get the content right away. But then like I still like editing vlogs and like yeah. And I think that's probably what my fan base prefers as well.
Interesting.
But I mean, it's a great resource to have. And like with the unlimited IRL backpack, the fact that it does like work in like over 100 countries, like if I had that when I lived in China, I think it would like, maybe I'd be a huge live streamer right now.
Right. And you can put it on the Chinese Bilibili or whatever it is. Like,
yeah. And just like live streaming in China, just walking down the street, there's always something going on. Like,
yeah, China's so crazy.
Now that I'm based in Chicago, I would have to plan it out a little more because me just walking the streets of Chicago just might not be as captivating content.
Yeah, China, it's like the adventure just finds you. Like, I'm sure you saw this a million times, like the old people aerobics happening where they're like throwing tennis balls or something or whatever it is. It's
they have I filmed like a Chinese workout video where I was working out with them, and they had a guy who was just like whipping this sort of spinning top and just like cracking the whip, and every time he cracked the whip it would like keep the top spinning. I mean, that's what China does better than any place in the world. In the world, the older people stay active, which is good. Like the moment when you're like over the age of 70 and you just haven't done anything active in a while, then your body just kind of like freezes up.
Yeah.
But like you walk by a park in China, there's like, I don't know if you saw this, but people just be randomly like slapping each other.
Yeah,
or like,
I saw that. Or they have like a little wooden thing that they're like hitting their shoulder with or something.
Yeah. Sometimes they'll just be standing next to a tree and like slowly like banging themselves
like
up against a tree. And maybe it helps with circulation, but
yeah,
the old people in China are always up to something.
There's got to be something to that, like Eastern medicine. Yeah, like I was in, I can't even remember where I was, Dalian, I think, and I stumbled into this like pharmacy to get some ibuprofen, but they had like all these roots and teas and like herbal stuff. Did you ever try any of that when you were there?
Yeah, I did acupuncture when I was there. The weirdest thing I did was called moxibustion, where it looks like it's just a giant cigarette or a joint that they light and they just like wave over your back.
Okay.
And I don't know, they think maybe the smoke helps cure you.
I think they did that when I was doing ayahuasca. I don't know if it's the same, like some kind of herb that they're supposed to.
I have no idea how it works, but like definitely throw in a photo of moxibustion. Okay. That makes an appearance in one of my videos.
Did it help?
No, I don't think I noticed a difference at all. They do the Chinese cupping therapy. Have you
Yeah,
tried
well, that's
that?
made it over here now. I got that done on my chiropractor last week, actually.
Yeah, that's popular. I mean, I think it could help. I kind of just went in to film a video about it. I didn't have an ailment that I needed help with.
Yeah.
And then just the Chinese herbs. I'm sure I tried some in Hong Kong. They've got like crazy remedies. Like
really?
There's one street in Hong Kong, which is like the Chinese medicine street. And I remember walking down it one day, super hungover, and I saw a dinosaur tooth. Like an actual, it looked like like the tooth of like a brontosaurus. This was like a large dinosaur. And I walked in, I was like, why are you selling this? And they were like, it helps with blood circulation. I think they also said it helps with heartburn.
What are you supposed to do with it?
So they would chip off a piece of it and grind it up. And then I think you just mixed like the ground up dinosaur bone.
There's absolutely no way that
in your
works.
soda. And then it cures your heartburn.
Did you try it?
I did not. I think it was not cheap at the time.
I can imagine.
And I was
Jesus
broke.
Christ.
But
I've heard of some weird Chinese remedies. Like I know the rhino horn is supposed to like make your dick hard.
That's the main problem why like rhinos are so endangered, because poachers are like, if I kill a rhino, I can sell that horn for so much to China.
Yeah. Same with, I don't know what pangolins are used for. Do you know about the pangolin smuggling happening in Southeast Asia?
No.
I don't know. I was at an airport in, I don't remember, Hong Kong or Philippines or something. And it was like, we're checking your bags for pangolins because they're smuggled through this port of entry or something.
And that's what the pangolin got blamed for COVID.
Did it really?
Yeah, a lot of people like at first thought it maybe like started because of a pangolin in a wet market.
Oh.
And then first they were blaming the pangolin, then they were blaming bats. It just kind of like,
yeah. What do you think happened?
I don't know. I don't want to like get your video like demonetized.
Yeah. I have a pretty good guess as to what you would say then.
Yeah. Well, because at first when COVID first broke out, like if you were talking about COVID in a YouTube vid, like it would hurt your views a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I have some theories of my own.
Okay.
I'm pretty good authority. So.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I have some questions right now. Let's see what else. Do you okay, so it's Barstool Sports, right? Is it like in your contract somewhere you're supposed to make like sports content? Because I noticed a lot of your videos are like sporting events, basketball, the Shanghai Shacks and fucking all over the world.
No, it is not in my contract. There is a lot of non-sports related content here. I mean, I will, if I'm in a foreign country, I will try to do like at least one video on like the most unique sport there. Like I think one of the craziest videos I've made, it's not my most viewed, but was just on the sport of buzkashi in Tajikistan. Have you ever heard of that sport?
No, is that the one you were telling me about earlier with the greased up pole? And
no, that was in Malta. Buzkashi is it's pretty much headless goat polo. So there's like there's 100 people on horseback, and your goal, and it's not a team sport, it's every man for himself, and your goal is to drag that headless goat into the end zone.
Okay.
And so it just turns into this crazy melee of people on horseback whipping each other's horses, trying to grab this headless goat and then break free from the pack.
Wait, are they grabbing the goat's head or the goat's body?
The goat's body.
Okay.
The head has been removed. So you like grab it by its tendons, and they usually each game they go through like 3 or 4 goats because the goat body ends up just falling apart.
What are they grabbing it with then?
They grab onto its like neck tendons and get like
with their hands.
Yeah.
From a horseback.
From a horse. They reach down and grab it.
Oh my God. Dude.
It's the most insane thing I've watched, especially because you're watching from the sidelines. But if the horses just choose to all like charge towards the sidelines, everybody just needs to run and get out of their way.
Holy shit. So the horse is like feral. It's like doing its own thing kind of like it's unpredictable.
I mean, yeah, it's just when you have 100 horses in the same place, it's like hard to predict where the momentum is going to shift. Yeah, there was they have smaller games too, but I got to watch one game that was it was like 100 people on horseback.
Did you join in?
No, I did not. I would definitely be paralyzed, I think.
That is crazy. How did you find out about that? Just like word on the street or?
Yeah, word on a street. I had one friend who was a photographer, and he had gone there and just taken photos of it. And so I was asking him about it, and he was like, yeah, they mainly play during like 1 month of the year, which is like their New Year's, which I think is in like March or April.
Okay.
So
shit.
I know you're trying to go back to Central Asia. If you go, definitely try to watch a Buzkashi game.
That's a great idea. Holy shit.
Um,
Wow.
But yeah, I don't have to do sports content. I do try to, because it is Barstool Sports. And I know there's a large portion of the fan base that would appreciate those types of videos. I do try to mix some in.
Yeah. Well, I know your Shanghai Shark stuff was like very unique. It seemed like you were doing that just for the love of the game. Like you just were a fan and you live there, obviously. So
yes, that's one of my best series, I'd say, just because of I developed I was there for so long. Like I developed a storyline. First, I'm just an average fan, and then after I danced on the court, they became on like high alert, where all the management and the security like knew to look out for me.
Yeah.
So then I started disguising myself and showing up at games.
I think that was the first clip I saw of you. You were trying to sneak in beer to the game and you like taped it to yourself. That is probably like one of the funniest YouTube shorts I've ever seen. Like I've rewatched it probably 20 times. I've shown everyone I know.
Yeah, because I walked through the metal detector and it's like beep, beep, beep. And then I lift up my shirt and it's like, it kind of looks like I'm strapped with a bomb. And they're like, oh my God, no, you can't have these beers. What is going on?
And then my favorite part of the whole thing was that you were surprised. You're like, what? I'm not allowed to. Like you were like playing into it. And you're like, what? No, this is normal. Like,
yeah. And my girlfriend at the time, now wife, I have rarely filmed vids with her, but like I was just at the game with her, so I was like, "Can you just like stand 10 feet back and film me walking through security with all these beers?" So I walked through. I didn't get in any trouble. They were just like, "No, you can't bring these beers in. You have to like put them down." But like one of the security guards saw her filming and freaked out at her.
Gets you in trouble in China.
And and so she was dragged into the back room. So I went with her, and they were like almost trying to arrest her for filming. And
at a sporting event?
Well, they got mad because like a security guard came over and grabbed her by the arm, and she was like, "Get off me," and like swung her arm. And then the cops like, "She tried to hit me." And so it turned into like a whole thing.
God.
And then like we were held
she
in
was
that
filming, so she had evidence. Like she could.
Yeah. And then they called us into a back room. They had some cops show up to see that we were in China legally.
Oh, that's not good.
And so after that, she was like, "Yeah, I'm not helping you film your videos anymore."
You're fucking wild, man.
Yeah.
Wow. Was she living in China as well, or?
Yeah, we actually met in Shanghai, but she was from the U.S. She was,
cool.
She actually went to high school and college in South Carolina, which I know is where you're living now.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, an American girl abroad. That's a good snag, because you know she's down to travel.
Yeah,
but she shares your culture and everything. So
yep,
nice
for sure.
Yeah, that Shanghai Sharks shit was so funny. I've seen that series probably like 3 times. Like,
yeah,
it's just classic.
And then they like I released a vid about me being removed from the games, and like me trying to I dressed like a woman at one point, and I was dragged out. And then they got a new president of the Sharks who saw that video, and he was like, "Hey man, I actually like that vid. We want you at more games." And so the following season I just got courtside seats for a whole season. And they like wanted me to help like, you know, promote the games.
That is funny. Yeah, I remember you trying to sneak in, I think, vodka and like the peppers.
Yeah,
like in that same video.
I had to do that because then, like, the great thing about Shanghai Sharks games is that you could get beers for $1.50 and drink as many of them as you want. Yeah. Whereas if you go to a Celtics game, that you can only get 2 beers at a time.
Yeah.
But then they eventually, China's like trying to become more of a, a first world country, and for some reason they thought like, oh, we need to be more legit, so they just banned all booze. So then I had a series just all about how I could get booze into the games.
Yeah, I feel like the same thing's happening in Japan. They're like banning smoking in certain places, and they're getting rid of all the good things, you know?
Yeah. Like when I first moved to Shanghai, there were people selling drugs like outside of a lot of the bars and clubs.
Really?
There'd be the Xinjiang guys that were selling weed, but then there was also a lot of Nigerians selling cocaine or knockoff Molly. But this happened kind of the year before COVID. All of a sudden, like all of the weed dealers were gone, and then like
just disappeared into thin air.
Yeah, they were all gone, and then all the Nigerians were slowly gone, and then COVID happened, and like now I recently went back to Shanghai maybe like a year ago, and the city is coming back to life since COVID, but they definitely have gotten rid of all drug dealers that you would have seen before.
Interesting. Yeah, I was in Hong Kong, and there were like some Nigerians offering to sell me coke and like 2C and stuff.
Yeah,
which I was really surprised by. I thought China would be the last place you want to do drugs.
Yeah, because I know in Japan they're super strict. I've only been to Japan a few times, but I haven't really like seen anyone doing drugs at all.
No, it's very, very, very bad there.
And then in South Korea, it's like that too.
Yeah.
But when I first moved to China, my friend would just smoke joints in the taxis on the way home.
What the fuck?
And like sometimes the taxi driver would be like, "Oh, that's a weird smell," and he'd be like, "It's just an American cigarette. It's fine."
Yeah.
The guy would be like, "Oh, all right, cool."
I mean, he's not wrong, I guess, technically.
Yeah. So, and like, yeah, walking down the street in China, sometimes we'd be smoking a joint.
That's crazy. You didn't get like paranoid or anything?
I mean, at first I was like, this is crazy. But then after being there long enough, I was like, I guess this is fine. And then it was around 2016 or 2017, they started to crack down on it. And I think it was because when Trump was being harder on China, they were like, we need to be harder on foreigners, or
reciprocal.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they were all, maybe at that point there was like too many foreigners living in China. So they're like, we need to get rid of some of them.
Damn.
So they would close down clubs at like 2 or 3, like cops would block the doors, and they would make every foreigner pee in a cup. And then if you like,
you had to do that?
It never happened to me, thank God, but it happened to my friend. He got kicked out of China. If you tested positive, they would be like, all right, you either have to do 2 weeks in jail, or you can be kicked out of China permanently, or if you rat a few other people out, then we'll let you go.
No way.
Yeah.
What happened to your friend that had to do it?
He ended up leaving the country.
Like banned permanently?
The thing is, they say you're banned permanently. All you have to do is just get a new passport, and then you can go right back in.
It's funny. You think like Big Bad China would have their shit together with the bureaucracy, but
no, I think it's just your like that actual passport's flagged. But if you get a new passport, you're good.
Wow, that's the workaround, huh?
Yeah.
Damn. Do you know anyone that's ever been to jail in China?
I do. I knew some people who were caught in a similar thing, and they chose. Actually, the guy I knew who did 2 weeks, it was for drunk driving in China.
I bet that's a big deal.
Yeah, they're very strict on that. And so he's who I've talked to about like what it was like, and he was said like the hardest part was just boredom.
Yeah.
Because you don't have any books or anything. At one point, he got an English language newspaper that he would like slowly read, but then another Chinese guy threw it out the window. Was like, "Fuck you, foreigner," and threw it out the window.
Oh my god.
And you also, it was like 10 people, and you all just share one toilet that was kind of just in the middle of the room. But you're not being like, honestly, in terms of some of the foreign jails I've heard about, like the ones in Thailand, I'm sure the jails in Colombia, South America.
The Philippines too, I bet.
We talked to someone on our pod about who he had to go to jail in the Philippines.
Really?
It sounded horrific.
For drugs?
No, like a random Filipino woman accused him of a crime he didn't commit, and it took him like 4 years for the case to actually go to trial.
So he was in jail for 4 years?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
In a very, like, the jails were just cramped, no AC. It's so hot in the Philippines.
I'm sure there's like gangs too, right? You gotta like stab people to survive.
Yes.
And shit.
Yeah. I think he could speak the local language, which ended up helping him in the long run. But
really, he could speak?
Yeah, because
it's like one of the hardest languages to learn, I think.
Yeah, it seems very tough. But he had already been living there for 4 years when he was locked up, and had learned it. That sounded horrific. Chinese jail, it seemed like boring, but you weren't being beat up. You weren't being like raped like you hear about in the U.S.
Yeah.
The guards weren't beating the shit out of you.
Just boring more than anything.
Yes. And then I knew a guy in China. I've never talked to him about his experience, but he punched a cop in China, and he was in jail for a year and a half.
Oh my god! Was he just hammered or?
Yeah, I think he was just hammered, and like the cop was talking to his girlfriend, and yeah, he got a little too worked up and punched a cop.
Wow. Have you ever been in legal trouble in any of the states you've been in, or the countries?
No, I've been brought to the Chinese police department multiple times, and I don't know, it was kind of like the only time I got a little scared is I snuck into a rolling Stones concert in Shanghai. I made like a fake press pass, so I was really allowed to go wherever I wanted to go.
That's great.
And I was actually underneath the stage, like while they were performing, like trying to go like deeper backstage. And
how much deeper can you get at that point?
I don't know what I was doing at that point. And I got caught, and I was handed over to the Rolling Stones head of security, who was a guy from the US, and he was a terrifying dude. Like, he shoved me against the wall, patted me down, took a couple of my cameras that I never got back. And he was like, because the thing is, I had like a small little briefcase with me, so they kind of thought I was like a terrorist. They were like, he was like, do you know what this looks like? They thought I was like trying to maybe plant like a bomb.
I mean, you were under the stage.
Yeah, under the stage, but
the
the briefcase just had like my camera in it. And he was like, do you know what this looks like? He was like, you are so fucked, buddy. You are so, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to hand you over to the Chinese authorities. And then when I heard that, I was like, oh, thank God. Because I had dealt with Chinese authorities before in the past, and they were like, it's kind of a joke. Maybe they're more serious now, but they handed me over to Chinese authorities, and they couldn't really speak any English, and they just brought me to the police department, and they like made me write on a piece of paper. They're like, write what you did. And so I was like, oh, I'm a diehard Rolling Stones fan, but I didn't have a ticket.
God.
So I made a fake press pass. I'm very sorry. I apologize. I felt like I was in third grade.
Right.
And then I handed them the note.
Say what you did.
Yes. And like, they couldn't really like even understand the note. And then they just checked my passport to make sure that I was in the country legally. And then they're like, all right, your friend can come pick you up.
Wow.
And that was it.
So the guy was like, I'm going to give you to the Chinese authorities. And then he did. And then it was kind of over at that point.
And this guy was from the US. So he thought, he was like, this guy's screwed. If I hand him over to the Chinese authorities, they're probably going to lock him up. But
yeah.
But no, they're pretty laid back.
Shout out old boy. He actually got you out of a bad situation.
Yes, yeah. Yep.
Damn. Well, let's see. What else I got? Do you stay in hostels anymore? Or are you more of a hotel guy?
I haven't stayed in the last time I stayed in a hostel, I was in Cartagena, Colombia.
That's where I got robbed, actually.
Yeah, Cartagena is like a spot because that's where I was. I got a like 10-year-old boy told a cop that I was doing cocaine. So a 10-year-old came up to me. He was like, buy my bracelet. And I was like, no, I don't want to buy your bracelet.
Yeah.
And then he was like pointing at my nose. And he was like, have you been doing cocaine? I'm going to tell the cops if you don't buy my bracelet.
Oh my God.
And I was like, what are you talking about? Like, no, I was waiting in line to go in this bar.
You called his bluff. You're like, fuck off.
I called his bluff. I was like, I'm not gonna let this like 10-year-old extort me to buy a bracelet.
Yeah.
And believe it or not, like and he's just staring at me being like, you're fucked. And then 10 minutes later,
God.
He actually did. A cop comes over, brings me into a public restroom, gives me like a strip search. I had to drop my pants. I also had to drop my boxers and cut my balls just to show him I wasn't hiding cocaine underneath my balls.
Oh my God. Did he touch your ass? Did he like fondle
No,
your
he didn't like look in my ass.
I don't know. That's where you'd hide it.
Yeah. He probably, I mean, maybe I did have to spread my cheeks. I don't know. I forget. But that's the thing is the cops in Cartagena, they're just trying to get a bribe. Like they're not actually trying to deal with the paperwork of putting you in jail.
Yeah.
They're hoping they can catch an American tourist with like a little bit of drugs on them and then be like $500 or you are going to jail.
Yeah. And for them, that's like 3 months salary. So.
Yes. And I've heard that happening to a bunch of people. Like Colombia, I loved. It's a beautiful place, but like having to like walk around knowing in the back of the mind, like in the back of your mind that like a cop could randomly try to get a bribe from you sucks.
Yeah. It's like a general sense of uneasiness.
Yeah.
Or getting robbed or whatever it is. And it's like, you know, if you get robbed or if you fall on your motorcycle, it's like, is the infrastructure in a way where like I can remedy the situation? Like if I get robbed, are the cops going to care? No. If I like get like mortally injured, are the hospitals going to be able to help me? Probably a little bit, but like not as much as you'd like, you know?
Yeah.
So I feel like a trip there, it'd have to be like kind of short these days, you know?
Yeah. And that was like, Cartagena is so touristy. When I went to Medellin, this also was over COVID, so it wasn't as like crowded and stuff, but Medellin I like loved.
Yeah, it's a great city.
The weather is perfect year round. It's a beautiful looking city.
Yeah.
So it's like, And I met some people, some American guys that work in real estate, and they're like, oh, you can buy like a cheap apartment here.
Yeah.
And I was like, damn, maybe I should live here. But then there is, I think I've heard about that same thing that happened to me happening in Medellin. Like you might just, if you're a white guy walking the streets at night, a cop might just give you a random search, just hoping he can get a bribe.
Yep. Yeah, and I mean, plus, like, I think people know that that's a tourist hotspot. So I actually lived there for 4 months over COVID as well. So we might have been there at the same time, actually.
Oh, nice.
But in like Poblado, like the nice neighborhood, like I was in like foreigner group chats where you'd see just randomly, like on a Tuesday morning, like a car pull up, someone jumps out with a pistol, shoots somebody in the face, and takes their laptop at a nice cafe and just gets back in the car and drives off.
Yeah.
You know, so I also lived in like a nice neighborhood, Laureles, and there was like a couple different shootings outside of my neighborhood.
Okay.
Outside my apartment. Like someone got died.
Damn.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I did read about like a random American who lived in Medellin. He was just like shot walking down the street.
It does happen. Yeah, I got a gun pulled on me in Medellin. So.
Damn, I've never had a gun pointed at me. That's got to be. And so, did you just hand him everything you had?
Yeah, he said, "Give me everything you had," and that's what we did. And then we just ran off like little bitches. It was very emasculating.
I mean, that's what you have to do if someone points a gun at you.
Yeah, but actually, my friend didn't throw his. He threw like a fake wallet.
Oh shit!
I know. I was like, damn, I should have done that. But
fake wallet's a good idea.
I know. Yeah,
and still have like 50 pesos or whatever the currency is.
Exactly. That's the move now. Yeah. Sometimes I'll take like a fake phone on a trip as well. Like just get like a burner just to like give it to them if they ask. You know.
That's a good idea.
So, yeah. Well, I don't want to take too much of your time, but I had a. Oh, tell me about the time you shit your pants playing football.
All right. So that was played up for content, actually.
Okay.
I got I did get the absolute shit knocked out of me, but I just got the air knocked out of me. And so like I couldn't breathe for 5 minutes and like, not 5 minutes, but I couldn't breathe for at least a minute. And my friend filmed the whole thing and I was making sounds like I was trying to shit or something like that. So I was like, this will be a lot funnier if I'm just like, I just pooped my pants.
But didn't you have like something running down your leg?
And then I taped up the bottom of my pants to like keep the poop contained. No, I mean I have shat myself abroad multiple times, but
in what context? Just drinking or?
Yeah, I mean when I first moved to China and was working as a teacher, at one point I just like shat my pants in class, and it was just a fart. I just sharted, and I remember I like wanted to like discreetly check, so like there was like a little podium at the front of the class where I could kind of like hide, and I took out a piece of white paper and I like shoved it down my pants, and it came up brown. And I was like, oh yep, definitely just shat my pants while teaching middle school. And so went in the bathroom and
how serious was it? Was it like running down your leg, or was it just like a little shard? Or
it wasn't running down my leg, but the boxers were ruined. So then I like went into the bathroom, maybe like threw my boxers out the window, and then just like taught the rest of the day free balling.
Oh my god, I could see them having like a conference about it later, like who shot, like they have the poopy boxers.
Yeah, and there's just it gets blamed on a random kid. It's actually the teacher.
That is fucking funny. Wow. Was it just from like bad food? Was it like a little bit of food poisoning, or like your gut was still adjusting?
It was probably on a Monday. Like my first year in Guangzhou, China, like that, I would say that's the hardest I've partied in my life, where like even though by day I was a middle school teacher, I was friends with some people from Liverpool that lived in, and like Scousers party hard. Yeah. And so they would, and like this like Scouser, he was the superintendent, I think, at an international school. But like once the weekend hit, he was an animal. He was selling drugs. He was up all night. Like there were weekends when he would go out Friday night and then wouldn't be going to bed until Sunday night.
Jesus Christ.
And so I think it was probably just a long weekend of drinking beers, and then I get into the classroom on Monday and I think it's just a fart, but it's not.
That's fucking funny. Yeah, I remember when I was teaching English in Japan, I was similar, not as bad as you, I guess, because there was no drugs in Japan, but I was like because before that I was like unemployed, loser, addicted to drugs and everything, and didn't have a job, obviously. And then I got to Japan and I was like the peak of my employment level and also the peak of my alcoholism in my entire life. Like every night I was like out drinking.
Yeah.
Like all my paychecks were just to alcohol.
Yeah, just because, I mean, drinking in Japan is so much fun. Like
It's the best.
highballs are great. They make great highballs. Their beers are always like so cold. You can even sometimes get those beers where there's kind of like an ice foam on top.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you seen the beers in the cans with the foam? You like pull off, it's like a pull top and it just has foam in it.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Okay. And then they drink those carbonated like grapefruit drinks. They're pretty much just like
Chuhai.
Yeah, so Chuhais, so they were kind of like hard seltzers before hard seltzers were a thing here.
Yeah.
Like Japan had been drinking hard seltzers for years and years and years, and then all of a sudden they were just like I can't believe that wasn't brought to the U.S. sooner, because that's like a Chuhai is pretty much just a hard seltzer, right?
Yeah, but I think it's sweeter. I think a hard seltzer is more like neutral, like less sugary.
Okay.
But the Chuhai is something about it. It's like it's sweet. It's kind of like a grapefruit juice. It's fucking refreshing.
Yeah.
And then they have the 9%ers over there. Did you try those?
Yeah. Yes.
The strong
I did.
zeros.
Yep.
Yeah, I think they're starting to ban those because people are just getting into trouble with them.
Okay.
Yeah, but something about East Asia, I guess because they don't have many drugs, people just love to fucking drink.
Yeah.
Yeah, but let's see. I think I had one more question. What are the best cigarettes you smoked abroad?
It's got to be Chinese Hoons. I mean, when I was smoking the most, it was in China, and it was the Jiangnan Hai 8s. You could have Jiangnan Hai 10s or Jiangnan Hai 5s. All foreigners smoked the Jiangnan Hai 8s. And they weren't like too strong, because like some Chinese cigarettes are just like insanely strong.
Your ass.
Yeah.
They'll ruin your day.
Yeah, so I would just, I have a soft spot in my heart for Jiangnan Hai 8s. But it was like, I think because like cranking hoons became a thing I would always do in my vids.
Yeah.
When I moved back, I think people thought I smoked a lot more than I did. And so I remember I was back in the US for a week. My friend was like, dude, I've seen how much you're smoking. You got to get off the cigs. Try this Juul.
Oh,
and
no.
I have been like heavily addicted to vapes and Zyn ever since, doing way more than I ever smoked cigs.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a brilliant move from the tobacco company, honestly. It's like getting a whole new demo of people that would never smoke. That's why I like smoking, because it's like, we know how bad it is. It's not like an experiment. Like
especially with like, I guess with vapes, the science isn't really out.
Yeah.
With things like Zyn, you feel like that has to be a lot better for you, just because it's not affecting your lungs. And like nicotine on its own isn't horrible for you.
Is it really?
Yeah, that's what I mean. I think it can lead to like high blood pressure, but like nicotine on its own won't be giving you cancer.
Okay.
I think.
Yeah, interesting. Because it feels like, you get hooked on the cigarettes, and then over here it's just like way more accessible. Like you can wake up and rip a vape all day inside at work. Like,
yes, yeah. Especially when you're working here, no one cares if you're just vaping in the office. Like at some jobs, you'll have to go to the bathroom to hit your vape, but I could just sit at my desk, hit the vape constantly the entire day, and just be just so hooked.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, for sure. Well, listen, I don't want to take too much of your time, but thanks for coming on, dude. This has been really fun.
Yeah, for sure. This is a fun pod.
Yeah, dude. Sweet.
Peace out.
Fucking yeah.